Everybody, a couple of good news stories from our schools this week. I think many of you are aware that there's a lot of prayer going in for our schools on our patch. Ever since schools opened, some people have made a commitment to pray regularly for schools in our area. We have folks who are prayer walking schools, people who are taking up the school that's like on their patch, and a lot of prayer going in, and we're hearing some good reports coming back from schools, and here are just a couple of stories to encourage you. One teacher had a teacher colleague friend and the colleague is like into some funny sort of spiritual stuff, and there is a Muslim father actually of the daughter, and the colleague asked this member of staff for help with an RS assignment the daughter had been given, which was to compare the Lord's Prayer in Matthew's Gospel and Luke's Gospel. And she said, do you have any resources that you could help us with? So the Christian member of staff helped out and made some suggestions, and the daughter sort of worked on those, and it was a really good outcome. It was very helpful, and she had a very positive message back from the member of staff and from the daughter, thanking her for her help. And then the question came, well, I'm dyslexic, my daughter's dyslexic, but she'd like to read some more about the Bible. Are there any versions of the Bible that are audio Bibles? And so this Christian member of staff was able to recommend a Bible app, and also recommended 2 or 3 videos as well as the audio capacity on the app, for which the member of staff and the daughter were very grateful. And an RS homework assignment has resulted in people wanting to know more about the God who's in the scriptures. Isn't that great news? And then we had news from another person in the town. She is part of the newly named Gideons, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the name, but there's a new name, Good News for All, I think it is, something like that. Anyway, they are ready to distribute New Testaments to schools in the area, and she's been saying this since the beginning of term. They have had more demand than ever for Year 7s to receive consignments of New Testaments going into schools. And she's just so encouraged by the amount of interest there is in schools in making sure the Year 7s get their New Testaments. So we just want to pray that as those New Testaments go in, these New Testaments won't just sort of click dust on a shelf and get buried in a bag, but that the words of life will flow from those books into people's hearts. And then a number of you who are part of the SCF Church family, you will know that on the His Kingdom Come prayer WhatsApp group, Nancy some time ago asked us to pray for her mum in Kenya. And just recently we've had a message come through. I know a number of you will know this, but this is such a good news story. Just want to read it to you. This actually comes from Nancy's niece. Good morning, everybody. My name's Magdalene and I'm Aunt Nancy's niece. My aunt told me about all of your prayers for my family, and I'm thankful for that. May God bless you. I've seen the hand of the Lord work miracles, and so I'd like to share a testimony with you. This past week, my family and I have been going through a very tough moment. My grandmother was very sick. Her blood pressure and diabetes were so high. Contrary to that, she also had the coronavirus. So at first, we didn't know what was wrong. She has just been laying in bed feeling so sick. So mother, who is Auntie Nancy's sister, decided to take her to the hospital, and they did some tests and the results weren't good. They then decided it was good if she was admitted. The first hospital they took her to, the doctors decided to isolate her, but they weren't 100% sure if she had the virus, so they did more tests. After a while, she got worse, and it was so hard for her to breathe on her own. She became practically extremely sick that they had to transfer her to a different hospital, which was 2 hours away, because she needed oxygen. At that time, everything came shuttering down. She couldn't talk. We all saw as if she was going to leave us. My family and I kept on crying. I then went on my knees and cried to God. I prayed and prayed without stopping. At this time now, the new hospital had put her on oxygen. They took her to the ICU. Her situation was getting worse by the minute. But then, after 2 days, she started getting better. The doctors even removed her from the machines. Then another 2 days later, she could breathe on her own. By this time, all the results were out, showing she had been suffering from the virus. But then she recovered abruptly. We saw God heal her in a span of time. She started feeding herself and walking. She was discharged on Friday last week. I cannot thank God enough for what he did. From this, I learned that even in your lowest time, never cease to pray to God, because in all situations, he'll never leave your side. He will always stand by your side and walk with you. So today, I just want to tell you that in any situation you are in, or in the times that you feel so low in life, don't give up, because God is there with you, and he will make you see better days than that, full of his blessings. Thank you for reading this and for all your prayers. And we thank you, Magdalene, Nancy's niece, for sharing such a great news story and a testimony with us. God bless you all. Have a great weekend.